We didn't play 2 weeks ago as we were recovering from. Yeah, we'll go ahead and start. We are back and we are session 28 now. And you guys find yourselves all the way down in the near the Naarlmarches and the Kamelands. And I think last session you had finished your time at the Lonely Barrow, let's call it. Does anybody recall what happened in the Lonely Barrow where you ran into several undead? Let's see, I can pull up the map.
Yeah, I've got some party journal notes. Let's see.
I recall it being terrifying and us being given a choice to go find some more barrows because we didn't have enough fun in the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Scott. Do you want to add to that?
It was an undead barbarian that we basically confronted, and we basically agreed to stop fighting in order to get out of there alive, but also to clear the Urgothoan threat that's pervading the Lonely Barrows. And
Yeah.
I think the idea was that there were multiple crypts in the area, all of this same barbarian's tribe or party or group or whatever, and they were all being threatened by the Urgothoans.
Yeah. And I think part of it was that it's been so long since he's lived that he doesn't remember his own name. And he was also wondering if you looked in the other barrows, if you could find out who he is, right? And help him figure out what his real true place is, especially in what happened after his life that he doesn't know also. So there's this sort of this chunk of knowledge that he was seeking from you that might be obtained, but also driving off the Urgothoans, who seem to have inhabited and tried to inhabit his crypt, but he's been able to hold them at bay. He is formidable. The other crypts you don't know have any presence like his. His life was brought back by his sword and his bond with his sword, and so I think, yeah, you all settled on the idea that you might help him. Did he let you walk with not really any commitment to it? And I think you guys left, from what I last remember, you talked about heading north, getting northbound, and not necessarily exploring anything further in this area for the time being. But the sandbox is open, so I'll let you guys decide what you want to do ultimately. And I think where we can pick up is in that section between the Lonely Barrow and the Shrike River. I think if you guys are continuing in that way, that's where we can pick up right now. And if you guys want to change course or go to a completely different direction, that's up to you all. But what's the party feeling here?
Yeah, I had thought that we were going back to the town.
Yeah, I think we were going to check out the smoking tower on the way.
Okay, right, got it. All right. So, anything anybody else wants to cover, or any other questions, or before we?
When we got to the Lonely Barrow, we got there because we were going down this way for Lady Jumanji. I just want to make sure we accomplished whatever we were come this far to do. I can't remember
The
exactly.
Lonely Barrows was one of the options that she gave us.
Here's your.
So she gave us 3 potential leads to check out, and all we really had to do was pick one. So
Yeah, the exact wording was, near Tuskwater lies the Lonely Barrow, the resting place of a barbarian king. Disturbances have been reported, and it is your responsibility to investigate and rectify any issues. So how far you take rectify any issues is up to your all's interpretation. But I think that the group is leaning towards an interpretation of that you've checked that box off and they're ready to return to Restov. I think, right?
Yeah, okay. We can rectify it by tell people not to go to that barrow anymore.
So squeezed out of there with our tail between our legs, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yep,
it's
yep.
pretty powerful. And again, I think you guys pieced together that he wasn't the true enemy you were hunting. It was probably better to have him there to keep them from growing further. So it's a
yeah,
good,
he seemed to be doing a fine job protecting his crypt. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys will be making your way then northbound towards the strike. What is your marching order?
I think I can take points if we want.
All right, I'm gonna try to arrange the cameras on my screen in the order that you guys are walking. Who's after Dalit?
Fed Warden wants to be back in the back and to the side, so he's got snipe ability.
All right. Yeah.
Reckla will follow Dalit.
The casters are in the middle here.
Yeah.
So Reckla and let's see. I don't think if I change the camera orders, do they change for you guys at all, or they stay the same?
No.
It's all personal setting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, personal.
All right. So we'll go with Dalit, Reckla, Sydney, Idril, Fenwarden. Is that all good? Is that okay? All right.
Always for me.
All right. So you guys make your way northward back towards the Shrike River, leaving the mountains on this side behind you and heading northward towards the bridge that you crossed earlier. And let's see, Dalit, let me have you make a perception check. Since you're far enough in front, you'll get a first crack at things. And yeah, with that, you're getting in a very clear, you still have some high ground that you're coming down from, and you're getting a very clear, open view of the whole Shrike River Valley. And you're able to see in the distance that there is still smoke way off in the distance by the tower, you believe. And you also notice that it looks like on the roadway north of the bridge that there are 3 humanoids approaching that appear to be on horseback towards the bridge heading south, and you'll very likely pass them should you continue to go towards the bridge. You'd probably get there at a pretty close timing, either right before them or right after them. So I'll let you do with that what you would like. But at this point, you're still maybe a mile or so away from the bridge, so you have some time to figure out how you want to approach it.
Yeah, I'll let everybody know and ask if do you guys want to just confront them at the bridge or just try to meet them at the bridge?
Yeah. I don't see why
Whatever
not.
you say, boss.
Yeah, we can try to time it so we'll meet them before we go over to the bridge.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I don't want to do is meet them on the bridge.
Yeah.
As I recall, that bridge was a piece of crap.
Yeah, I'd rather meet them at the bridge or once they cross.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So you guys can continue then that direction, just with that in mind. Everybody has awareness now, and you can keep your eyes peeled on that. But also now that you're all in this valley area and you've caught up to Dalit's position, the rest of you can do a perception check, please.
Shortly before we meet, I think Sydney's gonna take a little dive off into the bush and hide up.
Stay a little hidden in the
Yeah,
brush.
maybe like
Yeah.
the last couple hundred yards as everyone else is walking off, just stepping off to the side.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to find my perception again.
All right. 1 second, I'm just getting another screen ready. All right, so you guys are all starting to close the distance here towards the bridge. You do have a good view of the valley and the smokestack in the distance, but let's see, it is, just double checking my settings here. Okay, cool. It isn't long before you start to get a pretty good view of these folks, and it looks like Sydney, especially from your vantage point, you're distinctly able to make out that it appears to be possibly 2 elves and a dwarf that are traveling together in your direction, and that they're getting closer. They just look like they're dressed like travelers, possibly adventurers, and you guys are closing the distance to the point that they're getting across the river. Is that right? And then you're gonna decide what you want to do from there.
Yeah. Yeah, meet them once they cross.
Okay.
And I'm gonna step off the path and be maybe like 10, 15 feet into the brush.
Yeah. Okay. So it would be Dalit first then that would arrive at near the water where you would see these 3 approaching on horseback. And again, you've got, let's see,
Do you have a mouse, Jamie?
Actually, I got an image. One second. Let's see. Yeah, let me move you over. So this is the three. These are the three that you see near the water's edge as you're approaching the bridge. It looks like they actually stopped there and were just getting some water in that area. So you're able to approach them, and they of course perk up at the approach of other travelers and nod and wave at you as to show that they're friendly, but they're stopped at the water and seem like they're resupplying.
So they stopped on the other side of the bridge?
Yeah, they crossed the water and then stopped because it was easier to access the water.
Oh, I see.
And they're now down by the water when you guys approach. Basically, you could pass without doing anything, or you could approach them. It's your call. You've given them space to cross, and now they're giving you space to cross, but they are at the water's edge, not traveling further at the moment.
I think Reckla would want to at least greet them and possibly say something along the lines of, "How is the road that we're headed the way you've just come? How are the conditions on the road?"
Oh, Met, the road travels fine, friend. We found our way here without much incident, other than a couple days back when we ran into a hill giant.
Nasty buggers.
Yes, there seemed to.
Lay down a mean smack.
We know it well. And the dwarf kind of is like rubbing his neck as he's saying that. And they say, I am Thomar. And Thomar is the dwarf. He nods at you. And I am Sayla, is the girl. And the other half elf is Grogan. Grogan, Sayla, and Thomar are. Where are you coming from? Looking at you now, turning the tide back to you. Like, how is the road to the south?
Fairly quiet until you get to the Lonely Barrows. There's some cult activity in the area that I would be wary of.
Cult? Which cult is this?
Are you familiar with Urgothoa? A deity devoted to death and rot and decay.
Tomar's eyebrow lifts and says, I know of such a thing. And the others, they seem to have heard of it, but may not have as much of a reaction to it as he seems to. He says, Urgothoans, you say? There is further rumor of them in the region, and they say, what do you know of the smoking tower to the north?
We know nothing. In fact, we were thinking of investigating it on our way past.
Should be wary. We were warned by some travelers and some traders that we ran into a few days back now that spoke of the Urgothoans you speak of being spotted in that region. And there being some death and decay, of course, that follows. We steered clear of it.
Do you have a destination in mind, or are you of the sort to find a destination when it finds you?
Yes, we're actually seeking out to find a lizard folk village south of Tuskwater.
Well,
We've been sent to bring a message to their leader and to parley with them. We would like to fulfill this if we can, but if you speak of the Urgothoans invading the region, then perhaps we will head westward and avoid this eastern shore. Do you know of any crossings to get to the western shore?
no.
Hmm.
This is as far as we've been.
Okay, so you guys didn't go any further is what you're letting them know. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't go past the Lonely Barrows.
Yeah.
I see. Then we may follow the river for a while until we can find a crossing on the other side and avoid this shore. If it's being patrolled by Urgothoans, we prefer to keep our distance. I think you get the sense that they have some goods for trade as well, that they might be able to trade with you all if you're seeking anything, give you an opportunity if there's anything you guys are looking for that you might be able to trade with these folks. They do have some supply sacks on each of their steeds with kind of random goods in them, so it's hard to get an exact read on them. It's whether they're merchants, working with merchants, or something along those lines, but maybe you suspect that's what's going on. That they might be bringing some supplies to the lizard folk to trade as well. So obviously they would have some things they could possibly trade with you all. But if there's nothing like that in it, it's just an opportunity.
Well, if they have any short sword or potion on them.
Okay, let's see. Indeed, I have a short sword. The half elf pulls one out and shows you a short sword. Looks like a pretty good quality short sword. Nothing, no distinct markings on it or anything tell you where it was made, but it probably seems like it was a human-made short sword. Pretty common.
Are you asking for it?
I could let it go for a gold.
A gold. Give you 8 silver for it.
That's a rub. I'm hoping to make a little bit of money on this, and my cost is already at 8. It's traveled a long way with me.
I'll give him the gold for it.
Ah, very well. It looks good on you. He hands it over. So you can add that in. As far as potions, let me see.
Warden is inquiring if they have any extra healing potions they'd like to lighten themselves up. I have a set of chainmail. Let's see. I'll find something I can trade.
We have a lot in the party inventory that we can barter with too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yes, they do have several potions available. I'm gonna paste these actually in. So 3 potions they have are the potion of quickness, elixir of fire resistance, and a minor healing. So depending on which one you want, I could give you their price, but all 3 seem like this seems legit, I guess is what I would say on the surface. It's like you guys don't know any better, but you don't know them any better than anyone else, but you get the sense that they're legitimate.
Yeah, if anyone would like to pick up the minor healing, I can't heal myself as easily as the rest of the folks around here.
Okay. That is 5 gold for the minor heal.
5 gold. Wow. Let's see what Fenwarden's got as far as negotiating tactics here. Diplomacy, there we go. He's going to try to use some diplomacy to suggest that probably 5 is excessive, but 3 would be, they'd still be getting a wonderful deal at 3, but I'm willing to do that because I'm just a nice guy. My diplomacy roll is a 24.
The lowest we could do is 4. I promise you that I'm making not a penny off of you.
Very well.
You look as if you could use it more than I. Where you're,
Yeah,
if
I
you're,
feel we are all allies together here, so yes, let us do 4.
it's yours.
Reckla would be interested in the potion of quickness.
Potion of quickness. Yes, this is 30 gold.
30 gold, huh? Can he take a look at some of the gems? We've got 2 gems from the mines. Maybe one of them is worth approximately 30 gold.
Someone want to, yeah, if someone wants to
Crafting.
appraise and you want to offer a gem in exchange.
Would that be like a crafting check
I
to appraise?
I
or
believe so. I think so. Oh wait.
Crafter's appraisal. Your knowledge of items construction allows you to discern their magical effects.
Yeah, I think it would be a different, possibly. I think it's thievery or something like that, or I can't remember. I'm just trying to double check right now.
It might be like society. No, that doesn't make sense. Never mind.
Oh, it does say it's crafting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a recall knowledge basically from crafting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Reckla will give himself guidance too, just to sweeten the pot. 20.
Okay, and these are the 2 gems that you found in the
Mines. The
mines.
Sootscale Mines.
Yeah, so one of these gems is worth 50 gold, and the other gem appears to be worth, which one is that one? 25 gold. 50 and 25.
Okay. What else do we got? I'll offer him the 25 gold one and really all we got to just give away.
I tell you what, friend, I'll give you both of these potions for those gems.
Hmm.
The other one, elixir of fire.
Because they saw you
resistance?
looking at your gems, obviously. They
Yeah.
know you have gems for trade, so
Mhm.
they'll offer you a trade of the potion of quickness and elixir of fire resistance in exchange for them. Let's see. So essentially, you're giving them probably a little bit more than the value would be otherwise, but
Yeah, I think Reckla would do it because Reckla also thinks of this as establishing a relationship with a potential group
yeah,
too.
absolutely.
So yeah, I think Reckla would hand over those 2 gems from the mines for 2 potions that could prove.
Yeah, so they'll gladly make that exchange. So you can add those potion of quickness and elixir of fire resistance to your inventory and cross out your gems. They'll be glad to make that trade with you. I think after a few moments, you notice that she has been like doing like a double take on some of you. And after a moment, it looks like she wants to say something, and like finally after a moment, after your trade is done, she makes a comment. She says, "Do you perhaps know of the Stag Lord?" And she says that, yeah, she sees that Fenward maybe cracks a big smile at that.
We know what happened to his body.
We've met the Stag Lord.
Oh, it is you then. We have heard of a party traveling in this
Hmm.
region responsible for some of the fall of the Stag Lord. And so your reputation precedes you. There were some crafting a roadway that we passed round north of the Shrike River that made mention of you, and so we weren't sure if we would see you or not. But yes, I think this is a good relationship that we will see you again for sure.
That is good. We seek allies, and we, as you may know, we seek to settle these lands and bring some semblance of peace. So, if those are your goals as well, then we shall be great allies.
So do you head to Restov?
We do. We've come to a point in our journey where we are in need of resupply and equipment repairs and a number of things that a city such as Restov can provide.
Then I will warn you once more, friend, of something else that precedes you, which is that there has been an attempt on Lady Jamandi's life, and news of turmoil in Restov has reached our ears, and we bring it to yours.
Hmm.
Our understanding is that her house and another are in a ongoing dispute. However, the lady has survived, and now her forces are growing stronger, and her position remains in southern Brevoy. So, for what that's worth, we would share that with you to be cautious.
I appreciate that. Those are some grim tidings, however. We happened to be present for one of the previous attacks on Lady Jamandi, so we know it is not a pleasant experience.
This is why we do not seek power. We do not wish to make a kingdom. We wish to explore it. Very well.
Kingdoms need explorers too.
And they saddle up as if they're ready to ride out. And they say, "Is there anything else, friends, before we part ways for now?"
Yes, yes, it is a pleasure to meet you all. Who sent you on this errand to go and speak with the lizard folk?
Funnily enough, we encountered a hunter who hired us to bring this. His his name does not, but he hunts in the north, and he is one of the lizard folk that we
Hmm.
seek.
Oh, okay.
We also consider lizard folk allies, so give our regards when you encounter them.
They have been one of the few trustworthy creatures on two legs that we've found in our travels, at least in this region. We had figured that their trustworthiness deserved our efforts, so we will head south and hopefully make contact with the tribal leader. We do have some goods to bring them and offer them, and hopefully some welcome tidings, but beyond that, we imagine we will be returning north in the coming days after we arrive.
Before you go, make sure that you stay clear of the Candlemere Isle. It has not been explored. It has not been cleared.
I see. That sounds a little too dangerous for our liking. We will take our chances on the western shore and follow the Shrike southward, where hopefully we will find a safer way to reach the lizard folk than
Mhm.
through these banks, and we will avoid the island. Thank you. Very well. Safe travels to you as well, and may Brevoy and Restov stay peaceful in your presence. And
Good travels.
yeah,
Stuff. Can I keep an eye on where those gems go? If those end up in a belt purse or packed away.
yeah. The dwarf definitely took a liking to the gems, and he pocketed them. So you definitely would have seen him pocketing those, maybe on his not on his robe, but on his pouch on his belt, putting them in there. So that's where you think he's stowing them. But yeah, they nod and right away as you're. Are you still creeping around in the bushes this whole time?
Yeah, no, I've been in the bush
Okay.
the whole
All
time.
right. All right. So,
Absolutely. No, like before, and they've been doing their thing. I would like to make an attempt on a conceal spell, telekinetic hand, to see if I can pull at the belt strings to see if I can get the purse to just fall on off as they get up and go.
okay. All right. So this is telekinetic. All right. Let's see.
I'm not sure if that counts if a belt purse counts as an unattended object.
Well,
I know it wouldn't count if it was in his hand, but if it's on his belt purse, I'm not sure if I can tug at those strings. There it is in that.
yeah. Yeah. That's what I was looking. Thank you. Let's
Um,
see. So it's just a kind of comes down to.
And I'll blow I'll blow a casting of invisibility if I've got to get like closer within 30 feet of them to make a shot at it. Like if I gotta leave the bush to do it.
Yeah. So the way that the way that that works is because this is not like a free object. It's a little bit more complex to
Right. That's
remove it.
I know I can't do anything until it's in his hands. I'm not sure.
Right. You can no, you can. But basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll a disarm roll to see if you're able to remove this from him, and or if your telekinetic
Would
hands
that be
can.
like a thievery pickpocket check?
Let's see. It is. It's gonna be. Yeah. Roll a thievery check, and then he's gonna get sort of a reflex check to see if he feels or moves differently than what you would expect, and then let's see
And I'm actually
okay.
I'm
So yeah, so in this case, you actually it does seem as if it detaches, okay? And it is it's going to fall to the ground, and basically I'm gonna roll to see if any of them notice it. It won't be him noticing it, and he is in the front. So the other two have an opportunity to see this happen, possibly to warn him that his pouch has fallen. But they failed. God, I rolled really in your favor really well this whole interaction. So the pouch falls to the ground and they don't seem to notice it, Sydney.
I will nonchalantly walk over as everyone else is getting their stuff together. I'm gonna nonchalantly go over there and pick up the pouch and pocket it.
You got it. All right, you got a pouch in your pocket. You've got
Is
a
there
pouch in your
anything
pocket.
else in the pouch with the gems, or is it just the 2 gems?
You feel as if it's heavier than 2 gems when you pick it up. I mean, unless you're gonna go through it right now, which would give it away.
No.
But it feels
no.
heavier than 2 gems would feel to you.
Wait.
So yeah, you're able to pocket that, and with that, you guys are back to the river, and you cross the bridge. I take it. You notice that the bridge looks like it's been patched up a little bit, as if others have crossed and maybe fixed up some of the holes that you remember. So it's not nearly as treacherous to cross at the moment, but it's still you still have to maintain your attention. I'm not going to make you guys roll for this, but you are able to take it a little slower to make it across without too much of an issue. And you get to the other side and you begin to head north, and I take it you're just going straight towards the tower then when you get to
Yeah.
the other side, because
Yeah.
it's a little bit further north off the pathway you took previously. Let's see. Yeah.
And
this-
Idril will take out his threading utensil and book and take note of the required repairs. Always the bookkeeper.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah, so you guys make it up this way. You've gone down to the valley, to the river's edge. I'll give you guys a chance there if you wanted to wash up or use the river for any reason, and then cross and then head north towards the smoking tower. Again, it just looks like it looked last time, where you see this tower sticking out from the edge of the tree tops and spewing a bunch of black smoke into the sky above it. See, basically, as you're traveling throughout the day, it will begin to get dark before you reach the tower. So the question is, do you want to try to camp and get to the tower in the morning, or press forward and camp at the tower possibly, or what are you guys thinking?
I'd say
Uh,
camp and get to the tower in the morning.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
lean towards just setting camp
Yeah.
where we were.
Fenwarden is not up to full hit points. That'll give him a chance to get some more healing.
All right, so let's do then I think it's a survival check to try to locate a campsite. Gotta add the others on here too.
Yeah, I'm not beating any of that stuff. I can't beat a 22, but there's a 6.
My best chance was getting a nat 20 on that.
You two wanted to camp on a bed of thorns.
Sydney does better in the city.
Yeah, she's a little bit more of a city skilled character for sure.
Urban camping.
I heard that everyone else was more of the urban or the more of the survivalist sort.
Yeah.
I figured that'd help round out.
Yeah, we do have plenty of that covered.
All right, you guys have done your search. You found between Reckla and Fenwarden, maybe you locked eyes on the exact same site at the exact same time, and you guys both led the party this direction, and everybody agreed this looked like a safe spot for the evening. So at this point, we can go through, and others can do camping actions. Because you guys stopped, you would each have the ability to do 2 camping actions if you choose to. Where is my handout? Let's have to go back to the handout.
We'll attempt to conceal the site.
That's right. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Yeah, someone's gonna try to stealth it, I think. Ooh.
And I'll actually probably use both of my activities to doing that if I can re-roll that, or do I just have to?
No, you can do that. You can just re-roll it again and basically use both your
It
activities.
ain't much better, but it's something.
Okay. So everybody else would also have 2. Somebody will want to organize the watch.
Reckla will go for cooking a special meal.
Okay, special meal again. Going to the
to
special
the-
ingredient list. Okay.
I can try to organize the watch.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead whenever you guys want to check. We'll see how you did. But yeah, that is a success. So everyone will have +1s to perception checks on their shift.
+1 perception. Great.
And then I think both Ben and Reckla would have another action. Fenwarden, you still have both of your actions. Your other choices you guys have would be the campfire story. You can also just relax. Let's see.
Yeah, I'll probably just relax.
Yeah, what's good about if you do relax is then if you do an activity, you get a bonus to it. So let's say if you were just going to look for ingredients, if you relaxed first, you'd have a bonus to your search for the ingredients. So that's just one way to use that action. But yeah, you can definitely relax. The good thing about relax is you don't have to do anything. It just gives you the plus. It just takes one of your camping actions away. You don't have to roll anything to relax. All right, anything from anyone else? Reckla has cooked you a special meal. What did you make, Reckla, for dinner this evening?
Let's see. Think since we just chatted about it, I made some Stag Lord stew.
There you go. All right. And
Fenwarden will relax first, and then he will do some hunting and gathering. Lore or survival check. Yeah, you can do a
What-
survival check.
Scott, did we figure out what the benefit for Stag Lord stew would be?
Well, if we necessarily have
Because most of the recipes will have like a real effect to them. Like special meals will have a bonus of some sort that is associated with them if you cook them correctly, which you've done. I just want to get you like a unique bonus possibly. So let me see if there's a recipe that I can use as an example. You have a cookbook, right? In your
Yeah.
party inventory? Okay, let me give
Yeah.
you... Oh, okay. Here's what we'll do. This is what we're going to do. Everybody is going to gain 1d6 temporary hit points.
Huh.
And the way temporary hit points work is basically you'll lose those first before you lose hit points on your person. And I'll let each of you roll the amount that you get. But thanks to Reckla's cooking of a special meal, you'll all get that benefit here.
And
Then
we've got
GB, while I'm during some of that concealing, maybe when I was cutting down some branches to make some camouflage or something, I'll take an opportunity to look through the pouch. I'm gonna leave it all in the pouch, but actually get a feel for what else was in there, and
Yeah, let me...
we don't get too many pages away from it before it gets written down.
Yeah, that actually is a good idea. I'm gonna whisper message it to you right now so you can decide what you want to do with it.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, as far as the rest of you, you have those temporary hit points for 24 hours. So use them or lose them, you'll have those there. And
While I'm relaxing, I'm gonna do a medicine check on myself too. Try to do a treat wounds. Nope.
we'll be doing the same thing.
Reckla can spend 10 minutes on you. Oof,
Yeah,
maybe not.
getting close.
all right, are there any other activities anyone wants to partake in before retiring for the evening and going on watch?
Yeah, Fenwarden's got to get some healing going here. I'm just trying to remember how to do it. He's got natural healing.
Scott, if you could add to your recipe book that for that recipe that it gives a temporary temp
6.
HP. Yeah. And the big thing is that you do have to make sure that you update your ingredient list. I think it's 8 ingredients. How many ingredients is it per person? Or how, let's see.
What is the DC for a treat wounds?
15.
So for that one, Scott, it would be 5 ingredients per serving.
Per serving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's 20. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And I'm sorry, Joe, you were asking something. I think I missed what you were getting.
Yeah, I was just trying to get the DC for the treat wounds. Here it's 15.
Yep.
I rolled a 23, but I get a +2 because I'm in the wilderness. And so that's a critical success. So it looks like I'm going to get 4d8 from my heal. My
Nice.
treat wounds. Yeah. 15. All right.
Is it fine to just run with the marching order for watch, or how do you want to do the watch? Dalit, you can decide since you did the organized watch roll.
Yeah, that seems like the easiest option.
Yeah, it makes it easy for me unless you guys have a reason to do it differently. It's fine. But okay. All right, let's see what goes on then during the first watch. Anything else before I start doing the checks and we're all in
Yeah,
camping?
yeah. Who all needs hit points?
I'm at 19, I guess.
Sydney's low. I'm going to try to make it 2 so you guys can see each other's hit points on all the tokens here when you're in camp particularly. I tried to
Be helpful.
do it before, but let me know whose you can and can't see.
Fenward needs a couple, but I can't remember how much do you heal just by laying around?
Your Constitution modifier times your level, and your Constitution modifier can't be 0. It always starts at 1.
The level. Okay, in that case, I'm up. So thank you. So I don't need any.
You're good? Okay.
Yep.
So it looks like just Sydney.
Yeah, I could use a medicine if somebody wants to throw it.
Reckla will give himself guidance and give it a try.
Oh, yeah, that's 25.
Yeah.
That's a critical.
Okay. Hopefully now let me know, guys. Can you see all the bars now above each character?
I can't see Fenwarden.
So you can see
Yeah, I can only see mine and Recklas.
Okay. All right.
I see mine in Reckless as well.
Thank you.
Mine is also not current for some reason, but that's not really concerning.
Should yours be 44?
Yeah.
You guys said you could see Recklos?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
What
Oh.
about?
There you go. There's Twin Warden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think
If
I
you
found.
hover
I
over
must
them,
have
they
found the
show up.
setting finally.
Yeah,
Okay.
The bar, but not the number.
yeah. Now I got them.
You're seeing
Yeah, the
them.
only number I can see is me, but I can
See
see
the
everybody's
bars.
bar. I can see everybody's bar, but I can't see anybody's number except mine.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, because I definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if
Yeah, it's
it's.
the same way for me, but they're longer for the people that have.
Okay, I
the
think
18.
that's actually fine then. That's actually fine.
Got a
Just to
little
give you a
bar envy
sense.
here.
Yeah, you don't need the. You probably don't need the exact, but you can get a sense of where they're at generally. So that's good.
That's
Okay.
interesting. We are long.
I won't mess with it too much then. I think you guys look pretty healed up, so we'll start the dream cycle for 4 of you while Dalit keeps his eyes open. Let's see, there's gonna be 4 watches, so one of you doesn't even have to have a watch. Wow. Okay. Okay, Dalit, during the end of your watch and the beginning of, I believe, Reckla's watch, that's the order I have. And in fact, I'm going to move you guys on the screen too to put you in that order. 'Cause I think I have. There we go. Okay. Yeah, basically, even during the moments when you're waking Reckla up and handing off watch to him, Dalit, you hear some really heavy movement coming in maybe about 100 yards west of your camp. And it's at the same time that you're waking him up. So you're both kind of sitting there now hearing this movement. Again, it's maybe about 100 yards, 150 yards west of your campsite. And it sounds like it might be getting closer, a little bit closer, but what's more concerning is the size of it. It sounds like something larger than a human that's moving around just based on the amount of noise it seems to be making. It's either multiple humans or something larger at foot. You guys can make eye contact and communicate quietly if you'd like to discuss your approach.
Giants?
Owlbear? I'll pull out my short sword and
Your new one?
stand ready.
Your new short sword?
Yeah. Yeah, my new short sword.
Reckla will go and rouse the others without trying to make too much noise.
When I get roused, I'll grab my crossbow, load it, and try to slink off into the nearest bush. Kind of take cover.
All right, so are you guys moving quietly when you're doing that? When you're waking the others and after the others awaken,
Yeah,
is there
I'll roll
any
I'll roll a
attempt?
stealth attempt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's going to also cover as well. He's going to try to become hidden.
Okay.
Just trying to find cover.
All right. So you guys are moving about and getting yourselves into position. And who was taking the closer look? I think probably first would be Dalit, who would have a chance to try to take a closer look. And you're like sneaking up towards it. Sydney, were you also sneaking up towards it?
No,
Or just
not unless I
sneaking,
was exposed
hiding?
to. I just got woken up, so I
Okay.
just immediately grabbed my crossbow and tried to find cover in the nearest bush. If the whole group goes, I'll follow the group. But assuming most of the people are still in camp, that's probably where Sydney would be.
All right. So Dalit, you're walking towards it to take a closer look, and you get to a point where you see something in the distance that looks like a pretty large mass from this distance. Something that's definitely taller than a human and seems to have some mass to it. You can't really quite make out what its shape is because of where it's positioned, so you'd have to get a little bit closer. But you definitely feel like in coming this way that it was moving, and then you got to a point where it stopped moving. So maybe your hunter instinct like makes you feel like you may have drawn some attention, or your party might have drawn some attention, and it has stopped moving for a moment. So you would have to be very careful in your next couple of moves to remain stealthy, you think, to keep your cover.
I'll just try to stay still and let it do something.
Okay. And the rest of you, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get a feel for what's going on. I got woke up and told that
So-
something was happening, but I'm sure there wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you know that they gave you some type of warning that there was something foul going on that needed some investigation, and at this point you're just more hidden so that if something came upon you, you'd be well covered. But you could get the sense that Dalit has gone off to look at the threat. What about the others? What are you guys doing? Just also hiding, or is anyone else investigating?
I think Reckla would try to get an eye line on the creature as well, and he would be attempting to be stealthy while doing so.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
Thin Warden's doing the same, and he's trying to keep a greater distance. He'll have less chance of being able to see this thing, but he is trying to get a direct line of sight to whatever it is. But he's staying low to the ground and trying to hide behind things.
All right, so go ahead and do perception checks for those of you who aren't just straight up hiding. You go ahead and make a perception check.
And +1 on those for the what was it? Food.
Yeah, there's a +1. Yeah. All right, so yeah, basically it looks like it's just frozen still at this point, and it's maintaining its distance. Seems like it's almost like a standoff for a moment, Dalit, where it's stopped and perhaps listening for other movement, just like you're doing. And with that, I think you hear what sounds like a snort happen, and then you hear the movement turn as if it's going to continue moving, and at this time away from you and south towards the Shrike in that direction. I think as it starts to move a little bit after it snorts, you could get a better view of its profile, and it appears to be very large when it turns to the side. I think from the front you thought maybe it was about like 8 by 8 or something, and when it turns to the side, you notice that it's much longer than you realized it was. But again, you don't really get a great view of it. It is tucked into the tree line and seems to weave its way through the tree line enough that it's not clear to you what the creature was, unless you were to pursue it potentially or check its tracks in the morning or whatever. But at this point, it seems like it's
Does it sound?
moving away.
Can we tell by the way it's moving? Does it have 2 feet? Does it have 4 feet?
It does have feet. Yeah, it sounds like it's got feet.
More.
Guys, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, the noise that it made that kind of awoke or that got Dallas' attention also was more of a footfall type of movement than anything else. But
I guess I'm getting at is it 2 legs or 4 legs? Can we tell if it's a humanoid?
it's probably a four-legged creature, but as long as it is, you don't see it though. I don't think you've been able to see it, but Dalit could see that it's probably more of a four-legged creature just based on how long it is. But
Okay.
anyway, it's really it seems like the threat is dissipating. It seems your approach has put it off a little bit and it has changed direction to some extent. So unless you're pursuing it, your choices at this point would just be about fortifying camp or changing position or anything else along that line.
No, I don't think I'll pursue it. At most, I'll go back to camp and talk to the others to see if they just want to keep watch or go hunting.
Thin Warden's definitely going to want to check out the tracks in the morning, but we'll just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go looking for trouble at this point.
No.
Yeah, I think then with that, you guys can change off and Reckla and the rest of you can do your watches, which go uneventful. So you all reach the light of morning. You do recover your con bonus times your level in regular rest healing, but otherwise you're back at it. It's the morning and you can take a look towards the tracks, the area where you heard this thing, or you can head straight to the tower. What would you like to do?
I want to check out the tracks. Maybe try to use my nature ability to try to understand what they are. At least get a sense of whether it was a reptile or what. So, a horse.
Okay. Anyone else going with? Is everyone going along? Is that the idea, or?
Yeah, I'll go with at least.
All right.
Learn something about nature.
Sure, yeah.
All right. So you move over to this area and take a look at specifically where Dalit points to hearing this thing, and you do see some brush that looks like it was disturbed and as if something was made a bed in it, and in doing so scratched around in the vicinity, leaving some claw marks in the ground and some footprints in the ground that you can possibly identify. If you could do a nature check.
Oh my god, that's like that. Terrible. He's supposed to be good at these things.
Yeah, and I saw your whisper didn't work. Do /W, and then if you
Yeah, I hit the thing on your face, but and it said I was whispering. But
oh yeah, I don't know. I just so I think if you do /W space and then GM, it'll fill in the rest
Yeah.
of the name if you click on the name, and then when I send it or when you get one, it should be in purple. If it's hidden, it should be highlighted in purple. But yeah, now everybody knows what you're up to over there, you little. Okay,
no, it's not good.
nature checks here. It looks like this wasn't probably clear to Fenwarden what it was, but Dalit, there is basically you think that this may have been a Tatzleworm, which
Yeah.
is a dragon-like creature without wings. It's a serpent-looking creature with a dragon's head, and they're often found in forests and mountains and swamps. And they lumber along, and they have a territory, call it. And you would get the sense that you're probably in its territory, and that it was comfortable bedding in this area. Not to say it would always bed here, but it's probably pretty used to traveling this area. So a Tatzleworm is definitely something unique to the Stolen Lands and something you would have all heard of before. I don't think you've seen one yet, but you've heard.
We've got a recipe for Tatzleworm steak.
That's right. There was a Tatzleworm that was killed. I can't remember. I think it was back when you met the hermit. There was like a hermit, and he had
Oh yeah.
pointed you towards this kill or something that he had, and so you were able to get some Tatzleworm. But that's what your guess is, that this was a Tatzleworm.
Okay. I'll let everybody know that we avoided a tiny wingless dragon.
But they're pretty nasty. They will normally be in groups, small groups. So you would start to feel like, okay, this is an area that we're gonna have to be aware of this as a threat. And they do sometimes speak. They are sometimes able to be communicated with in Draconic, but that's you gotta hope that you get one in a good mood to even try to converse with it. But regardless, you guys get up and you begin heading north, and you make your way towards the. There we go. 1 second. Make your way towards the tower, and I need to make a folder real quick for this, so give me a minute here. Oh, I put it in your artwork. That's where it's at. Okay. All right. So the smoking tower that you guys eventually come upon looks like this, sitting on in a clearing, not far from the mountain, not far from the river. Definitely I'm thinking like if you guys have recall knowledge or any lore, crafting, that those would all be appropriate checks here to try to get a sense of what other details about this your character might notice.
What recall knowledge?
Any recall knowledges or lore checks that you'd like to try, you can try.
Nothing to do with war.
Maybe something to do with war.
No, Reckla thinks it has absolutely nothing to do with war.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely something Fenwarden doesn't know much about or care to know much about, this abomination.
Earth on fire.
Yeah, so the collective observations here I'll give you all is that this tower definitely is churning something out. Very likely they are crafting or making something in here to produce this much smoke. It's consistent with that type of operation to you. The tower, I think, from the standpoint of Idril, you get the sense that there is some arcane in play here, and that something unnatural likely protects the tower or makes the tower function. So you definitely get that sense. And then for the others, I think notice that the way that the tower is built, that there's very likely some area underneath it, like something that it goes down towards, and that it may have been likely used or is used for mining and bringing supplies up to the base of the tower where they're then being processed into something. So that's the group observation, if you will, of the tower itself. The air has got some odor to it. It definitely smells like something, smells like a city to you, maybe more like a city than you've smelled in a long time. But again, just some kind of black smoke that's coming out of there that has no stop to it, really. In the time that you've seen it and been here and walked by it in the past, it just seems like it's ever burning, whatever it is. But yeah, you're at this point, you're in a clearing, maybe 500 yards from this thing, and in looking around, you don't see anything stirring other than smoke.
Do we just want to walk up? It's in a clearing, so we can't exactly sneak up on it.
Speak for yourself. Sydney like cracks a knuckle.
Perfect. I like that. Send Sydney forward. Yeah, Fenwarden will cover him from the trees. But yeah.
Yeah. Sydney will make a big motion of going through the bush and like making her way around. And then once she gets a little ways around, I'll conceal spell invisibility and kind of sneak on in.
Okay, so Sydney, then, if you're going to be getting closer, you can do a perception check after you've made your way to about 100 yards from it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not going to run in quite the same way I did in that barrow. Lessons were learned. I will move a little bit slower.
I think the party gave you a little bit of flack for that one. That might be,
Yeah,
it might be working.
Perception. Oh, sorry. I always forget. I can never find perception because it's not with the other skills.
Okay. I think maybe when you're getting down here, it's getting to the point where the closer you get to it, it's harder to stay concentrated on it because it's got an odor in the air and a little bit of smoke in the air. Your eyes are not adjusting well to that. It's not toxic or anything to you at this point. It doesn't feel like it's affecting you, but you're just not getting a good view of the tower for whatever reason because the wind has shifted and obscured it. So you'd have to get a little bit closer to see more information about it, really, to pick up more information about it. Other than its scale, it's definitely large. As you're getting closer to it, you can tell that it's older. It's not something. It's something that's been here for a little while. But are you going to close the distance a little further?
Do I see a door from this side or any sort of point of ingress that I would potentially be able to get into or check were I to get up to it?
It looks like there's windows and openings on it, but you can't see through them from this distance.
Are they like 20, 30 feet up in the air? Or is it something that I could maybe jump up and get near?
You could. There is a dilapidated staircase that leads up to a first level or entrance, and then there's also on the lower level there are looks like some archways to where you could walk into that section beneath it.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I just didn't want to assume that it was.
Oh yeah, you're right to ask. But yeah, you definitely sense that you could walk into that lower area. You'd be undercover. That lower area looks open. The deck above you, you can't really see if there's a door in place or not, but there seems to be a doorway.
Yeah, I will get into a place where I can get a good vantage point of the doorway and see if there's an actual physical door or like any guards or anything like that standing there.
Okay, you could do a perception check again. Actually, do a stealth check. Sorry, or you're invisible, but you can do stealth just for quietness and whatnot. And
also stealthing.
Yeah.
And then I will also have detect magic just in case there's some magical traps or something. That'll be what I'm sustaining because I don't think I have to sustain the invisibility. I think it's just goes. Let me double check that before I make that assumption. Yeah, that doesn't need to be sustained. I will be keeping the detect magic going.
Okay, and you can do another perception check then now that you've moved in a little tighter to it. Are you guys maintaining your distance at this point? Just watching? I guess you can't watch him.
Yeah.
You're just guessing that he's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Waiting
Giving him time. Okay. Telling stories.
Or flames to burst out.
Okay. Yeah. So Sydney, when you get closer, you're able to get a much better vantage point of the doorway, and it looks as if the doorway has been covered in bricks. Not only the doorway, but you start to look up above it at the windows. They also appear to be filled with darker colored bricks, as if someone has stonewalled the whole exterior of this old tower off with bricks. So it doesn't look like the entryway will be too easy on that doorway level or the windows.
How far away from it am I? You said I was 100.
You're about 50 yards.
Okay. So I'm still not close enough yet to have detect magic go off on it if the tower detects.
The tower itself isn't triggering it anything yet. Yeah.
I want to get close enough so that I want to get close enough to make sure that my detect magic would detect if there is like a magical aura or anything on it. But other than that, I'll just do a full 360 around the tower, kind of at that distance, watching to see if there's anything that isn't bricked up.
Yeah.
And assuming I don't see anything like that, then I'll move on back.
Yeah, you search or you circle the tower, get a closer look at all four sides of it, the base level and the tower itself. It looks like all of these windows have been meticulously covered with a darker stone. The only thing that looks like it's open to you is there's an archway in the bottom level that you can walk through. It's not covered as far as what you can tell. And in there it does look like there is a stairway that leads downward.
I'm just gonna come back with that information, but I will come back up from. So if I left on like the east side, I'll come back up through the bushes on the west side.
Okay. All right, so if you come up behind them almost, if you're still sneaking up upon them, then they wouldn't even.
But I will
even
have the
hear it.
invisibility dropped when I sneak up behind them.
Okay. All right. So you
And
guys
he still is trying to keep the facade of just being a normal road. So
and you all reunite there. You can report back your findings.
yeah, and I'll let him know that it appears to be all bricked up. There is a single entrance that looks like we could get in it, but it appears to be 2 stairways down, and it's certainly going to be a tactical disadvantage probably going down. It's going to be a tight fit. What I can.
How are we feeling about this? Do we want to keep investigating, or do we want to save this for later and continue back to the city for all of our resupply needs? How's everyone feeling?
I'm uncomfortable with this here. This is the area that we are hoping to populate, and there's this operation going that is producing something. It certainly seems dark.
Yeah, this seems like something that could come back to haunt us if we leave it alone.
Two to go. One to or two. Yeah, two to investigate further. One to go. What's Idril and Sydney's feel?
I'm gonna follow the bosses.
Okay, so you're gonna go with the majority regardless. What about
if I have to
Idril?
split a tie, I'll split a tie. I don't have a problem with that. But assuming everyone else is made a majority rule, Sydney's following that right now.
Yeah, I think the group is ill prepared and under equipped to handle something like this. So going back to the city, or at least going and smacking Tartuccio on the head before we hit the rest of.
It would be interesting to see if something has come of him by now.
Yeah. I don't think the group is prepared or equipped.
I know
Could be wrong.
Reckla could benefit pretty substantially from visiting. He has alchemy abilities, formulas, but he doesn't have the supplies for it.
Yeah, I guess we could go back.
It sounds like we might need that tiebreaker, Sydney.
I
think we've got. No, I think we need the tie-breaking vote because it sounds like we've got.
Also go back with the go back, Sydney. This will probably be the one time that Sydney actually says, and she'll talk about, look, y'all, it's not a good situation. We're walking into a trap. I literally, I've got no weapons on me, right? Like I've got a silver dagger y'all gave me.
Yeah.
Well, and the crossbow I carry, but that ain't gonna do me any goodness. Well.
Yeah, let's make note of it then, and it would be interesting to think of some way to prepare for.
You guys have animal companions in game and out of game. Come on, you got Dallas got a cat on his shoulder. You've got Easton. You guys are set. No, I'm just kidding. Do what you want to do. So it sounds like you guys want to bookmark this place and keep heading back. Is that an agreement or?
Yep, that's good. We'll go ahead and continue on. We'll avoid this place.
Yeah, definitely be coming back to wipe this scar off the land.
Yeah, it definitely gives you this. You guys got a good sense of it. It's a dark place. There's something going on, and the feeling of not maybe wanting to go in undersupplied without reinforcements is a little unnerving. You've taken a closer look. I think Sydney did a walk around and has reported back to you what they've found. The traders in the area told you that other people knew of it and referred to it as a death tower, things like that. It's probably wise that the group maybe come back at another time. And so, what you guys, anything that you're going to do before leaving the area, anything else that you want to investigate or do before you move out of here and away from it? Okay. All right. So, you guys start making your way then back towards the roadway, back out of this little notch in the woods. So let me move you up here. Oh, I can't move your token. Let's see. Okay. All right. Yeah, so you're making your way eastward, northeastward. And you're able to get back to the roadway eventually, and you do, or at least a pathway, I'll call it. It's not a roadway. If you were expecting that your road crew made it this far, you're like sad to see every step that you take, there's no sign of them. And of course, like realistically, they couldn't have reached this far, but you're still like
Yeah.
optimistic that you're gonna see them at some point. And eventually, you guys can basically travel through most of the day. It starts to get to dusk when you see a group of travelers coming from the north headed your way. And unless you guys want to take a precaution not to encounter them, you will cross paths with them. Is there any avoidance tactics being done here to avoid crossing with the group or anything like that?
No,
All right.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna do the same thing in the last like maybe 200 yards or so. I'm gonna dive out into the bush. If the party keeps walking along, then I'm going to do half speed, and I'll probably fall behind a little bit. I have a 40 speed, so half still 20. But and then I'll just catch back up later on the road.
Okay. All right. Sydney kind of slips off again into the tall grass, making their way. Let's see. The rest of you who continue down the roadway, I assume, are staying in the same general order. Anyone else taking any other precautions or doing anything different than normal?
No.
All right. Let me get you this real quick. All right, yeah. So you start making your way up, and you actually notice that there's 4 travelers. They're traveling pretty tightly together. There's 2 humanoids that look like they're carrying crossbows and wearing helmets, while 2 in front, one has a bow and the other carries a sword. And I think at this point it would be society check that you guys could roll for those of you who are. Did I just close that? Do you guys see the picture or did it close?
Yeah, no, we see it.
Okay,
It popped
okay.
up for me.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think for Idril and Fenward, you might get a sense that like the closer they get, the posture that they have and the way they carry themselves, that they might be like somebody important that's traveling here. And Idril, you definitely get the sense that the man in the green cloak is. You get the sense that he's probably Pitaxian, which is an area that opposes Ravoy and Rostov. So you might be the first one and only one to get a little bit of a chill about seeing someone from Pitax traveling so openly up here. Like it might be a little bit, you might not have expected that they would be traveling this openly up here, considering that they're at war with Bravoy. So that would be your
Let
instinct.
everybody know under his breath that that we have snakes in the grass.
Yeah.
And it's not Sydney. Sydney is
Yeah,
not the city.
and it's not Sydney.
Yeah, you don't know where Sydney is at the moment, or usually ever when you encounter people, it's always like, where the hell is Sydney? What the
Pretty
hell
much.
is
That's
going
pretty much.
on? Yeah, one of those things. But yeah, that's the group kind of approaches, or you get close enough to them, and yeah, you definitely, from the closer you get, it starts to resonate that this guy in the green cloak looks like he is a soldier. And the way he carries himself, the way he's adorned, the way he's equipped, it looks like these others he might be the leading them, so to speak, through the area. And as they approach you guys through the road, or as they start to get closer to you, the two guards in the back with their crossbows actually kind of race in front, and they approach you guys maybe 50 feet ahead of where the others are riding, and they say, "Move to the side," forcefully making you like move out of their way.
Reckla would like to cast this spell, focusing on him.
Let's see, vision of weakness. You focus your gaze on a creature and gain a flash of divine insight into its nature. This creature has any weaknesses, you learn them, as well of which of its 3 life saving throw modifiers. Okay. Say that it is very likely their reflex is going to be their lowest save.
Okay.
And that weakness wise, I think because of their wearing of so much metal, something that produces heat or electricity would do particularly extra damage to them if you're thinking of it along battle lines or magic lines. Otherwise, maybe they would be slower than you, obviously, wearing the heavier stuff too. Maybe difficult to climb, stuff like that. But
Right on.
yeah.
Right, cool.
Does everyone obey the order to move aside off of the trailway? Sydney's already compliant. Like, Sydney's the most compliant. Anticipated this VIP coming down the roadway.
Yeah, if they want us to have their back exposed,
I'll tell you what, I'll let you guys think about this. Let's take a quick 5-minute break. And when we come back, I'll let you decide if you're going to comply or not, and we'll pick up from right there on the roadway. Be right back.
Jamie, is this particular group of soldiers, are they wearing the same kind of garb that the 2 or 3 people who were with Tartuccio when Idril came to the Stag Lord's fort?
Oh,
It's been a minute.
yeah, it has been a minute, and just want to double check that real quick.
Thought they were wearing something from Pitax, but I don't remember.
I'm just double checking to see. Yeah, okay, yeah, here it is. Yes, this symbol looks similar to what you saw before. Now, I wouldn't say it's the symbol. It's definitely more ornate and higher quality than what you observed when you were there, but the symbol is
the same.
the same. Yeah. We'll pick up back on the road. These guards kind of race out in front, get in front of the man of the hour, if you will, and they bark at you off the roadway. That his lord approaches.
Who's Lord?
Yours soon.
Oh, well, then it's not mine now.
Do you comply? Is there anyone that does not comply? Is the real question.
I don't think Dalit would move.
I don't think Reckla would move if Dalit's not moving.
Yeah.
No?
I think I'd declare that we're trying to get these lands under control and in order. Who is your lord again?
Okay, let's see. If you're asking that.
Your lord was not invited and he is not welcome.
There you go. That's better than I said.
Lord Vorland needs no welcome. This is his territory that you travel upon. But we will settle this your way if you choose. And they will lower their crossbows and point their crossbows directly at your faces. Do you hold your ground?
I'll probably try to move away from the crossbows.
Let me have you do it this way. I'm going to have you roll a will save. And so for those of you who pass, you'll have the ability to decide if you want to move. But for those of you that fail, you're going to feel compelled to move. And the will DC is going to be 18.
What if I feel compelled to lightning bolt this dickhead?
You'll have to do that from here or from the side of the road, right? That's the first decision. Okay, so you're gonna do it from the side of the road, it sounds like. And Reckla is the only one that has enough willpower that if you choose not to, you can stay put.
I'll
But
stay
the
put.
others will move to the side. Okay, so you stay put, and the others move out of the way. And so they look at you and say, "Will you not move?"
Will I not be allowed to meet my supposed lord?
He will meet you as he passes. I'm sure he will say hello, but you are in his way.
I'm but a mere gnome. How could I possibly be in a lord's way?
And as they're doing that, the other two have caught up here, and they don't seem to stop. And they get up real close, and the closest now you can tell that they're both human. The other two are human, and the older human that's with the one in the robe, he kind of approaches and says, "Now, let's not harass these travelers." And what he rides up and says to you, Reckla, he says, "Hello, sir. I apologize for our precautions, but we have found this tactic to work in the past. I we will be on our way if it is all the same."
Of course, not to stop you. Was
The
simply taken aback by the demands of these.
Your numbers put my guards on caution, and they have reason to be wary of wanderers. The road is big enough for all of us. We will make our way. And he kind of motions to the two crossbow carrying, and they drop their crossbows, put them down, and slowly start to follow their leader away, but looking at you like you. They knew you were ready. They knew you were ready. They knew you were like ready to push their buttons, and so they neither one of them is too happy about it because they felt like you were definitely just pushing their buttons, but they will follow their leader away. As he comes by, for the others, if you wanted to do perception checks again on the leader and which was and the other. So for Fenwarden, you notice because of the maybe the side that you're on of the road, you notice that on one of his sides he is carrying a really nice looking mace. It looks like it's like a dark gray metal, and it's very ornate. Not something you've seen before, but almost something so nice that for a second you're like, did elves make that? Because you're elven and you like always assume the nicest things are made by elves. But so that really sticks out to you. But then to Sydney, you are detecting magic and you actually see that the mace is glowing.
Oh,
Yeah. Those are all things that your characters would know separately at this point, but the travelers move on and they stick together. The two guards constantly turning around to give the dirty eye to Reckla. Oh, I wanted them. I wanted a piece of that little gnome. They're just so mad that they just got embarrassed by this gnome. But they do ride off and they get far enough away that you all can have a discussion about what you saw and share that information as you continue.
before they go, can I ask Vorland who gave them a charter for this land?
You're gonna ask, say what you're gonna ask, and to who?
Ask Lord Vorland who gave them a charter for this land.
I think like he's gonna ride by for the most part. If you shout the question in his direction, the other older human that's with him will put out an answer potentially. Let's have you roll diplomacy and see if you can elicit an answer to the way you phrase your question. And but this will definitely come from the right hand man, so to speak.
Mm.
Okay. All right. And who gave you the charter to this land? He says Pitax needs no charter, but these lands are open again now that the Stag Lord and others have been fallen from their throne. And I think what you're realizing is that you're definitely in a territory that's up for grabs still. You all haven't made your way down this far yet to really make yourselves terribly known. The Stag Lord likely controlled these trade routes, and now that he's no longer and you're not doing anything to really limit, that's what you're starting to see now is that others and this Pitaxian is wandering around a little bit freely, look like he's shopping for real estate. to your eyes. So it's a little bit unsettling that they would be so bold. Whether it's true or not, I don't know if that's just what they're saying anyway. So, any other thoughts? You guys continuing towards the mines? The Sootscale Mines?
I think so.
So, I think it was at this point that you're um, off of the beaten path and on a little stretch between the beaten path and the um, trenches that the Mitflits were using. Right. And so it's somewhere in this area that you guys would be traveling when it starts to get dark out. And as it's getting dusk out, roll a perception, please. All right. All right. I think it would be, it looks like just Fen Warden you notice a light up ahead, Fen Warden. Maybe it's obscured and the others aren't getting a clear image of it, but to you think you see a light ahead somewhere.
Is as we're still traveling?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll point it out to the others.
So it's ahead of you. It's like maybe getting to that time of evening where everybody instinctively knows, hey, we're going to start looking for a campsite, when you notice this light way up in the distance that is straight ahead of you.
About how far ahead of us do we?
Maybe a half a mile.
Does it look like a light from a flickering light, like from a campfire, or something different?
Something small, something like a small light source that, like, maybe you just saw it for a brief moment, but you're certain there was a light source that you saw. And as you try to point it out to the others, they're not really seeing it. You're sure that you saw something as you were going that way.
It's only half a mile. I think we can push on to investigate.
Yeah, that's really the question. Do you want to press on and investigate the light, or try to set camp short of it and not deal with it tonight? There's been a lot of avoidance today, so I'm trying to give you guys the benefit of the doubt here. If you want to avoid further or interact, it's up to you.
Yeah, I think we should investigate it. At least Ben Morden will.
Yeah, Reckla would want to make sure that it's at least not a threat if we're setting up camp close
Yeah.
by.
No
Alright.
surprises in the night.
All right, so I'm gonna have you guys basically press on a little bit, which will shorten your camp time a little bit, but you'll still have the ability to do an action each. I don't know why I cannot move this. Oh, it's because of the roadway. Okay. My roadway line. All right, yeah, so you guys start to close the gap here, and as you get a little bit closer, sure enough, Fen Warden was right. See, there it is, and you look up ahead, and you can kind of see what looks like a really dim light coming from a little open area. And when you get within maybe about, I don't know, 50 yards of it, you look down, and the ground beneath you looks like it has been widened and tamped down, and rocks and gravel laying here, and you get the sense that this is like a work site. And so you start to get encouraged that these are potentially workers, and sure enough, as you get closer, it looks like there are 8 people who have taken up camp in a little opening not far away. And your instinct at this point as you're approaching them is that they're the roadway workers, and that they're somehow aligned with you all. So
That little goblin scab from Pitax was using our roads without being taxed.
Enjoying our hospitality.
yeah, we'll get right to work on a tollway, sir.
Yeah.
Gotta fill the coffer.
Well, let's go see if we can set up camp with them. Maybe we can cook them a nice meal for building this fine road.
Yeah, definitely. I guess whoever would like to make the introduction here can give us a diplomacy check just to shape that interaction a little bit. But you guys definitely feel a sense of relief when you see these folks, and some of them might look familiar, but I think there's a lot of new faces here too that would leave you with the impression that your group is growing in your absence, hopefully, and that they've recruited more workers. Reckla, you make your way into the camp. How do you introduce the group here? As you walk upon them, you see basically 4 humans and then 4 other humanoids of different races, sitting around this campfire look like they have their ingredients laid out, like they're getting ready to potentially make something as you're walking up upon them.
I'll say, good evening, all. The Stag Slayers have returned from the south. Are you all one of the contingent from the fort?
With your diplomacy roll and with that sort of intro, I think a couple of them will be like, "Hurrah! The Stag Slayers return!" And they'll all stand up and take note of you. And like they're looking, I can't remember who all of the road working crew was, but one of this crew would be someone familiar to you guys, that someone that you recruited.
I think we got one of the Southerners maybe came along with the road crew.
Well, I know Vitali is your general. He's like the roadway master, if you will, that you've given control to make sure it's getting done. And this isn't him, but this would be
Right.
someone who you guys would know, and Vitali would know. It's like a work group leader and
Gotcha.
that level. So somebody who would definitely know of you, and you've seen their face before. And I think that reaction would come from them first, and the others would rip and roar along with them because they would the respect that was shown, and they would say, welcome friends, please make yourselves at home. It's not much of one, and it's only temporary. But they definitely have space here for you all to set up, and we'll need a name for our crew leader here, but he'll say, make preparations for meals for everyone and pull out something special, would you? He says to his other friend. And so with that, I'll give you an opportunity you could try to learn a recipe from these guys.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to roll to find a campsite. You don't have to roll to find ingredients or make the meal. They're going to do that. But if you want to learn, you guys would all have one ability that you could use, or one activity you could do. So you could learn a recipe. There's a way you could learn a recipe. Telling a campfire story is a particularly good one in this scene because you guys are returning from some crazy things you could talk about, and that would give some big bonuses.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where we ought to be. Yeah, Fenward will definitely do that. Yep.
Okay. All right. So
Good stories to tell.
yeah, you've seen some things.
Yeah.
And you have a captive audience here who would be very attentive to hear about your travel. So, any other actions other than telling the story that you guys want to try?
I'll try to hide the campsite.
Okay.
Sydney will definitely tell some stories about how they saved her from the cages. I don't know if any of the other thieves made it with us, the other two that I was with. But yeah, I'm definitely going to.
You can do an aid to the telling of the camp story, and then
absolutely
flavor it
The
up.
performance is not. We'll tell it together. Yeah. That's not the way it went. You're getting it all wrong.
Yeah.
I can provide aid to myself.
Or it just starts to get bigger, and like you just one up each other, and then the dragon said, and you're like, just, oh man, I gotta come up with something better than that. I gotta get him. I'm sorry, what were you doing, Reckla? I missed what you said.
Oh, I'm not sure yet. I guess Reckla will gather ingredients.
Or do you want to learn a meal of theirs?
Oh yeah.
Or is someone else doing that?
Discover special meal. Be trained in cooking lore.
Okay, yeah, you've been the de facto cook. I think we should give you like a basic cooking lore to use as a role for that. Do you want to just add cooking lore into your character sheet because you've done the vast majority of it? I guess just give yourself a trained status.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're like a short order cook who's learned bigger, better dishes over the course of traveling. It might be.
I'll take it.
The guards told it to me on the road. All right. So
that is a cooking lore check.
Other thing, you could hero point your performance roll there, Joe, if you do have hero point available for the session that no one's dipped into, and we don't have a whole lot of time left. If you want to, you can. It's up to you. Cooking, wow. You rolled 16. Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and it's big bonuses if you do it right. Okay, yeah, I'll try that. What the heck? I will try hero I'm going to try again to tell my story about how we slew everything in the barrows. So that's a little better. And I was getting aid on that as well. So
Correct. I was aiding. I don't know if I had to roll for the aid or not. I mixed so many systems together, so not sure if that's an automatic bonus or you got to hit DC 10 or what.
No, I think you're good. I think you're good. Yeah, so let's start with Reckla real quick. I'll come back to you in a second, Joe. But the cooking, you're able to learn their recipe. It is called the Trailblazers Roast. And this will basically give you a bonus to strength. So for 24 hours, you'll have a +1 to strength, which affects athletics checks, fortitude saves, things along those lines. So just as your bonus from your meal is wearing off, you're getting ready to eat one that gives you a whole new bonus. But in this case, yeah, so you guys no longer have the temporary hit points. I thought you were going to use them. I gave you those to use them. Damn it. Just kidding.
I was ready to go. I had my
Right
finger on
before the
trigger.
tower, man. We were good. I was like, oh, they got bonus hit points,
Reckla
man. They're
stood
good to
his
go.
ground on that road.
Yeah, you were picking it could have gone. I mean, it was only a roll away from turning into one, frankly. But cooler heads prevailed. So in this case, you've got your cooking figured out, and then now the retelling of the tale. What story did you go with, Joe? Maybe what story did you start with? And then you could tell, this one's not my best. I'm gonna turn it up a notch and go to my better story. What
Well, looking at the first roll, I think he started with his story about the barrows, but he got his facts mixed up, and everybody got confused and didn't understand what he was talking about. So he started over and just made something completely fictitious and came up with the rock that came out of the sky and attacked us. Yet we prevailed, and in the end, we all got to have a ride on it before it flew into the sunset.
Nice. Yeah, so the tall tale was told and eaten up while everyone enjoyed the Trailblazers roast. And anything else anyone was up to during this 2-hour segment before watch?
I was gonna ask, does Sydney from her politics lore know anything about the Pontifex, whatever they were called? Just if she knows any like background of that. Lord Vorland.
Yeah, you don't know Lord Vorland specifically, but I think it would definitely occur to you to ask them about whether or not they saw them or not, and they would tell you that no, they did not see them. You might find that interesting that they weren't this far north, at least in this northeastern vicinity. They didn't cross, that they were seen by the pavers. But beyond that, I think they would be like, after a question like that, you would notice they'd be like, "What? No. We would have told you if we saw someone from Pitax. There's no. Why would?" So that definitely seems way out of place that they were there.
And Sydney have any background knowledge of Pentax, like their attitudes, their dispositions? You said that they were at war with Brevoy, but do they have a reputation for, I don't know, being slavers or necromancers?
Yeah, they definitely are a lot more cutthroat. They're known for being a very cutthroat and power-driven kingdom. There's a lot of different sort of curses and things that have been laid upon those that would oppose their kingdom. Even their own citizens who don't do well are punished for not advancing Pitax. So it's definitely more of a rigid place, to say the least, than Raboy, which seems more like an open ground for people to serve who they would choose to serve, whereas Pitax, you don't have much of a choice. If you're from the city proper of Pitax, then you're a Pitaxian and you're 100% in, and your family is probably generationally involved in their military or some other aspect. There is a lot of lore kept in Pitax that's protected. There's one of the things you would know about Pitax is that they have this obsession with obtaining lore, not lore, but artifacts and really like a lot of knowledge and books and things like that you can't find anywhere else, that they've got under lock and key in Pitax. And that's sort of something that would be widely known, that the libraries of Pitax Like maybe even that's a saying, like, you know, only the libraries of Pitax know that. Stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Like they've got such a deep wealth of knowledge.
Definitely, to the extent that any of that was unique to me, I will share it in a gentle ribbing of Reckla and his diplomatic.
He stood his ground.
stubbornness.
He stood
Yeah.
his ground to the tyranny of Pitax. Maybe that
Yeah,
was the
it'd be
story
it'd
that
be a
Fenward went
gentle
with, like,
maybe that wasn't the best
or
idea.
yeah. All as far as the evening is concerned, the workers will break out one of their bottles of brown liquor to share at this occasion because they definitely take note of the fact that you visited them on the work site. To them, it's more like you visited them, like you appreciate them. You're here, seeing what they're doing. They see you now returning with all of these new things and this, like all these tales and stories, and so it definitely lays a lot of groundwork with you and them. Another little pun, but it gets it all done as far as that relationship and your front line is concerned. They're your front line. They're blazing south, and they would be looking to you to give them further direction if there's something they need to consider as they head south. They wouldn't know about the smoking tower. They wouldn't know about the bridge or anything like that.
Hey, do we want to maybe give them directive to build a new bridge?
Well,
Construct a
Yeah,
new
I
bridge?
say we can tell them to avoid the smoking tower and to work on fixing or replacing the bridge. Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
We want to have them cut to the east from where we are right now, across the water,
Maybe go to the other
and
side.
then to avoid the smoking tower altogether.
Build a new bridge, huh?
We could probably draw the roadway you want in here. So if you want to have it
Yeah,
come more out this way, is that what I'm hearing?
Sure.
I
I'm
kill
thinking
this.
we're right here, yeah? We're, um,
Jamie, is the thin red line the road that has already been created?
The thin red line is to where you are, but not past where you are. So I was gonna make or I would prefer if one of you wanted to draw it on there since it's your campaign and you guys have directed them on how to do this. But if you'd like to draw, you could do on the draw tool, there's a pen/line tool under there, and you can
Yeah.
change it to gray in the upper left and make it large. And then when you click between two lines, it should connect them. And then so if you want them to go, and you after you draw it, you can move it around as well, so you don't have to draw it perfect. But if you want to figure out where your road is supposed to go, it's your call.
okay.
It's your call. So
I'm going to partake in that bottle, and I will also encourage any gambling that any of the workers might. Not necessarily to make money, but just because Sydney likes to have fun.
just to loosen, keep it loose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure. If the boss says it's okay, then yeah, it must be okay. They would certainly like throw bones with you.
Well, I'm
And
not. 'Cause
yeah,
I'm
I think if you're like, yeah, if you like prod them, you'll see them start to throw bones and roll dice and play some dice games, which definitely gets the atmosphere going. It's pretty lively. Like if you are all partaking in it as well, that then it's definitely they get lively and they'll open up with you and talk to you about life on the forefront here of the roadway from your I guess you still haven't named your kingdom quite yet, but you did call yourself the Stag Lord Slayers, which would stick. They would be asking you questions, a lot of questions about where are you heading, what have you seen. Definitely they're curious about their next several miles as they do this next section of roadway, but knowing where you're heading and that kind of stuff they'd be curious about too. So anything else anyone wants to add to the campsite scene here with Pitaxians? Or not the Pitaxians, I should say your faithful. Yeah.
No, Sydney's just gonna have a good time. Potentially too much of a good time.
All right, I'll have to get a bottle of spirits icon to add to this later. But for now, you guys are in the campsite and basically can do anything camping activity, or not camping activity, but any other preparations or things you want to plan for. I assume you'll be off tomorrow. You'll be off on your way to past to the
Yeah,
Sootscales.
I think the only other thing that Reckla might do is ask them what they need to make the work easier, or what supplies they
Okay.
might need, just to make sure that they have everything they need to continue.
So I like that. I think that's a great idea that maybe we could do a crafting check with Reckla and basically as a conversation where they may propose a problem they're having to you, and your crafting might kick in to say, hey, I'll send this to help with that.
Gotcha. I'm a hero point that.
Sure.
There we go.
There you go.
Good save. Good save.
So the first reaction you'll get is some horses would obviously be nice, but knowing that they're in short supply, we could always use a couple of mattocks to break these rocks up. We're spending too much damn time smashing rocks. If you know another way, I'm all ears, but as it is right now, that's our bottleneck.
I'm sure we can find some fun ways to smash rocks.
The easy part for them is that the roadway is pretty flat, so that part doesn't seem to hold them back too much. And then I think this is where maybe because of like all of the tales you've told them, a couple of their minds would really wonder with that, and a couple would be like, sounds like we're gonna need security. Yeah, so if you're like throwing it out there, like they're gonna ask for a wish list of things, and including feeling safe. They want a security detail if they're gonna things get dangerous, we're gonna need security.
Good news, that's what the new bridge is for. So you're going away from the problem. That's why we're
Yeah.
redirecting.
And then I would say because of your role, Reckla, the rest of it is basically where you could tell that they could really benefit from an ongoing supply of lumber. Planks and boards would be a huge benefit to them. They're working without some of those things, but if you could get them wood over here, it might speed some of their process up. So that might be something that like you just observe completely on your own, that they're
Right.
not really asking for, but it would require maybe you to explain to them what the benefits would be, but that's something that you could take note of and potentially.
Maybe it's just like an efficiency thing.
Yeah, that's
Point
what I'm
out
thinking
an
of.
efficiency they have, and they're able to.
Yeah, like a process.
work
Like
faster
you
or
definitely feel like
better.
there's a quicker way, and if they had this supply, this lumber,
Right.
it would help them go a little quicker. And it's not that they're moving pretty fast. I think what would be surprising to you guys is how far they've actually made it. But the way they explain it to you is that it's not a complete roadway, that they've been doing these in phases, and that they will be connecting them if the plan goes correctly, that would be about a month or so before all the different sections connect between where you're at currently all the way back up to Fort Serenko. Your understanding is that there's 3 different work groups doing the same thing as this work group is. With that, anything else? Any other questions or anything we didn't cover? What would be your intent as you continue to travel forward now? Would you be stopping in the Sootscale Mines on your way past it? Would you just be waving and continuing on? Just out of curiosity.
I mean,
The last time we left that thing, it got inhabited by nasties.
What was your next stop? Would be my question on your way to Restov. Would you be stopping anywhere, or are you just beelining it to Restov?
I would think we would at least check in. I don't know that we would stay there at the mines.
Are we going all the way to Restov or just the fort?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is what's the full plan, and where would you be stopping along the route will help me.
I think we should stick our nose into the Sootscale mine just to make sure there's nothing nasty happening there, and then to the fort. And then once we get to the fort, we can decide about going on to Restov based on what we find at the fort.
Yeah.
The fort is really our headquarters, so we got to make sure our house is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been left in the hands of Tartuccio, so who knows?
Yeah.
Just laying eyes on it at this point would be reassuring, wouldn't it? Just knowing that he didn't sell it. There's not like a for sale sign out front or anything.
How many stories have I heard about Tartuccio at this point in time?
That's a good question. What would the rest of the group bitch about Tartuccio from time to time, or what? Like, how often would he be spoken about amongst the party?
I think we all despise him enough to not want to talk about him too much.
Yep.
One person mentions him, everyone has to mention him.
It's like an all-in. It's like an all-in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, one person mentions them and everybody spits on the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so you guys then, I guess, would go into watch order here. 1 second. All right. The group will keep watch for you all if you're willing, and they will basically tell you all to get a good night's rest. Keep your eyes closed for once. Get a good night's rest. We've got it. And you can tell that they've got their own group that figured out their own arrangement figured out here, and they've got 2 people on watch pretty much all the time. You guys feel fairly comfortable with what they're doing, and that their campsite's pretty fortified and hidden as well. Beyond that, you guys can then do any preparations you need to for the evening, and then turn in for the evening. And then I'll roll to see if there's anything that interrupts your precious sleep. All right, so in this case, in the middle of the night, in the dead middle of the night, it starts to thunderstorm. And so you guys have fortification here. There are some tents. In fact, did I show you? I probably didn't show this. Hang on a second. I got ahead of myself. This is what the camp would look like. Somewhat similar to how it's supplied and set up. So you guys have found your way into some tents, and you just hear that rain outside all night. It puts the fire out and puts you all to sleep, and you don't hear anything throughout the evening. And the morning arrives, so you start to hear a little bit of chirping and stirring going on at the camp. Seems pretty normal to you. So you guys exit your tent, and it does look like there's been a lot of rain. It's definitely flooded in the plain area as well, and I think that might even reassure Reckla that wood is going to be necessary in certain spots to traverse some of this land that gets really flooded. So that's maybe like a way that reinforces for you like what they're going to need and how they'll use it, and you can even point it out to them that this might be a way to make the roadway more sturdy and permanent. But beyond that, a couple of them look a little hungover. A couple of them look a little bit as if they've lost some money gambling. But for the most part, they're ready to get back to work. As you guys are stirring, they're lining up their tools and getting ready to head back over to the roadway. Anything else you wanted to interact or do with the road crew before heading north? They will tell you, by the way, they will tell you that the Sootscale Mines have become a warehouse, and that when you get to the Sootscales, you'll find that there have been some people dedicated to keeping track of the inventory. So don't be surprised if you run across them. They will warn you. Not to be afraid of them, but just to let you know someone's there and they're using it. The mine has become the central warehouse for some of their carts and supplies and things like that. They travel back there usually once a week to pick things up. And so they've got the caravan bringing things and using the Sootscale Mines in that regard. So
Cool.
anything else before you head that way? Think
No.
not. All right. Then Godspeed. And again, they're I think like at this point, like even like the road crew lead and others would be like maybe even trying to propose names for the kingdom. Like everyone's like sitting around and like coming up with an idea for the name for the kingdom. And maybe after Fen Warden's stories, they started coming up with other names. So that might be the scene as you're leaving camp where like that sounds stupid. And they're just like having this open discussion, which is so it's starting to occur to you guys that like you got to name this thing sooner than later, or they're gonna name it for you. But with that, you guys can head towards the Sootscale Mines, and you'll be able to make your way pretty much across mostly completed roadway during this whole segment and find your way to the Sootscales within the day. So this is where we'll leave it for this session, is that you guys have arrived at the Sootscales. And when you do arrive, that on the outside of the Sootscales, it looks like it's been like the front face of the mine, where before it was just like a rock edge. They've smoothed it off. So it looks like somebody's doing some rock work on the front of the mine, and they've made it smoother and nicer. So as you approach, you also see that some of that rock has been smashed, and there's like some piles of rock out front that have been organized. Like it looks different to you just from the outside, but when you get to the front and you get to the gate, that's when you would hear a voice from behind the gate, and it would sound familiar to you, and it would be it's actually the voice of Vitali He is one of the southerners that you found in Olig's and who you've put in charge of your roadway. And you hear his voice call out to you from behind the gate, and he says, "The prodigal sons return." And you hear him unlocking the gate and swinging the gate open, and he says, "Welcome back, friends. We have been busy, and by the looks of it, you have too." And he would notice, I guess, some of your injuries, some of your travel, some of your loot that you bring back, and he'd say, "Welcome, friends. You may come in here. There's not much, but you're welcome to whatever you need." And as you enter into the cavern here, that's when you notice that they've really got this place changed to where it is set up like a warehouse, and there's shelves and storage and supplies that have accumulated here that seem pretty significant to you. You also notice it looks like they have excavated a little bit from inside of the mine itself in the sections that Voldarius had marked as being silver veins. And they've isolated and found some silver as well, which Vitali would be happy to report to you. So you've got a silver vein that they're extracting from. They're extracting rock from here, and then maybe you'll have a discussion, Reckla, with Vitali about lumber and how it's in short supply, and if you bring it to his attention that he needs to increase it, and what your idea is, he could start to source that out.
Definitely. I'll definitely consult with him.
All right, we'll probably leave it here in the Sootscale Mine as you guys are inching your way back north. And Vitali would want to know this, right? And Vitali, I'll leave with this as well. He'll say that he says, "The mine has changed a lot, but you'll barely recognize the fort." He says, "Tartuccio has had his way with some things, and with others we have held him at bay. And I think we are making decent progress despite his attempts to take things in another direction. Your return will definitely help us settle some open disputes." As
I appreciate your vigilance, Vitali.
yes, of course. I have made refuge here in the mine. It seems things are much less political and much more to my liking. It's a steady temperature inside of here, but I feel like the breeze in the fort is not one I want to endure. So, and I think even, do you guys share with him anything about the Pitaxian that you crossed with? Or anything else that you guys share with him? I guess, out of curiosity, would there be anything that you would mention to him about your trip, or would you be inquiring more about things that
I think we would only mention what he needs to know to be able to do what he does. I don't know that there's really much information to the south.
We could talk about rumors of Pitaxians and ask him if he's seen anybody. I don't want to let him know that we have seen them, but I definitely want him to be on the watch for them.
Sorry, that was for Sydney.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If they see something, say something.
Yeah, and I think as far as things that he's seen, definitely Mitflits and lizard folk have been seen in more abundance now that there's no Stag Lord. They seem to be just more like everyday things that you observe. There's been some trade going on in the area, but a lot doesn't make its way as south as the Sootscale Mine because the roadway is not really going to anything. So
Sure.
like the mine is not a destination for anybody. And so like the roadway pretty much serves your kingdom at this point.
Yeah.
It's not facilitating a lot of other travel unless you had created a reason for people to travel to the mine for whatever stuff like that. That being said, I think Vitali would say that we're still in our infancy and we still need to declare some way forward for the kingdom, including that pesky name that we might need. He would prod you for that as well. So we'll come up with, maybe you guys can come up with or propose a name so that when you return to the fort, you can put your stamp on that and have that set to, because I think that might be like one of the things that is one of the open items that has been unsettled that Tartuccio might have strong feelings about. So I'll leave you guys to decide that and come up with ideas for next session. But anything else anyone wants to add or ask before we bookmark this session? yeah, you mean you guys successfully avoided all kinds of stuff.
We just tiptoed our way up. The
Yeah,
coast.
you did. You like
The
you
river.
kind of like yeah, went into caution mode a little bit, which was it's fine. It's just I like had all these things ready and now I have them ready for next time or for when you return. But no, it's good. It was fun and you guys have got yourself in a good position now to follow through with what you planned. So
Yeah.
we'll pick up here in 2 weeks, gentlemen. Thanks for making the time. All right.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Peace, y'all.
Bye.